Welcome to From Pitch to Pontoon.
Hi, I'm Andrew.
I'm Lisa.
And I'm Calum, and welcome to this week's episode of From Pitch to Pontoon. We're joined again, once again. She's back from happy holidays. Lisa's here.
Yay!
Hi, Lisa.
You buzzing to be
Did
back?
you miss me?
We did.
Oh, that's nice.
I had to put up with him on my own last week.
Oh.
Listen, you're both nasty. Now, we've got a little bit of a special episode for everyone today. Not only have we got one set of guests, we've got two. So if you want to stick around to the very end of the episode, we're going to be doing Microsoft versus Apple as well. But
Something a little bit different.
absolutely head-to-head challenge. We're going to be joined by our marketing director. Our guest, first of all, is the fantastic and brand new to the scene, Ohana Mua. We've got an interview with them to look forward to. And part of their story, very resilient in a very soft market. I think we're seeing all around the UK, certainly in the park industry, the market has gone very soft, particularly in terms of holiday home sales.
Very up and down, isn't it?
It's very up and down. I think everyone's seen a little bit of a struggle.
Trouble.
Trouble,
Tough. Trouble's wrong. Tough times. Tough
times.
Yes.
It's been a long time, I think, since we've seen the holiday home side struggle as much. Holidays tend to go up and down, depending on what's going on in the world, but that's always seemed to have stayed as quite a little good bit of a base income. And I think, Lisa, we spoke about this a long time ago on an old webcast back in the olden days about that buoyancy where everyone was sort of moving to holidays.
Yeah.
Being the main
I think we even
revenue.
laughed, like the sales team were royalty.
Yes.
Like the sales team were the people on the park that could do anything.
Yes.
But it's definitely changing.
How do we think that we could help or advise anyone that's listening to get that extra bit of revenue in a softer market and to sort of generate interest for their customers, new or old?
I think know your customer for sure. Take that time just to kind of maybe a bit of research. What are your customers' trends? What are they doing? What are they asking you for? Get out on the park, ask. We all know, especially owners, love
Well, they'll
to
tell you
chat.
exactly what's going
They
wrong.
love to tell you what's missing.
They will. It's making sure you're looking after your customer base and where the market is soft is you've just got to work that little that little bit harder, to make sure that every lead that comes through the door is special and everyone that walks around the park is special. You've got to go that extra mile when it's tougher.
And I'm just from a data perspective.
I was going to say, there we go. He's going into it. He's already there.
Already doing it. You're obviously a CRM expert. What kind of data would someone be looking at within their CRM, whether it's ours or their own? What sort of data should they be looking at and going, this is going to help, that's going to help? Where can we pull that information from? What does it look like? What's the story?
And I think sort of fitting with what we were just saying is that you've got to follow the funnel and make sure that all of the what we call the top of funnel activities is coming through and you're watching the leads and your sources that you're on, all your social media, and ensuring that that is all doing the same as what it always does. And then as it's coming through, what's happening, when it's pulling through and the salespeople or the team are working that lead or that inquiry that's coming onto the park is ensuring that they're being catered for.
Things have changed, or things would change within the lead. Maybe, they've had a new baby or the grandparents have recently retired. That's the little things you need to pick up on. That's the things about knowing your customer, because you may be able to offer them an upgrade, a better location. These are the things that you're going to really have to notice and really pick up on, in these times. In these
terrible times. But I tell you, someone that's not struggling is the guys over, is people looking at acquisitions. Although the market's really soft, we're still seeing park operators going out buying new parks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're seeing that all over the place.
But is it those fresh ideas, though? I think there's these new ideas, this new way of looking at everything, this new wave of kind of business coming through.
Yeah, I think it is. And just sort of blending that in with Ohana Mua and their story is They started with the Vale in Cornwall, which will come out in this podcast. But it's interesting to see where they're going and where they're looking at phase 2, and they're looking to open up with this additional unique mirror glass lodges.
Have you seen them though?
Oh,
They
No,
are
personally, I haven't.
insane. They are
Yeah.
absolutely insane. I think the idea is that it will literally sit in nature. The whole thing's reflective. Like,
Wow.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I'll try and pop a picture of the top of our conversation here so you can actually see them, because
Amazing. Do it, because that,
so
I think
different.
that's what I find really exciting. They've gone through this phase 1, and we're already looking at phase 2, with these amazing mirror glass lodges, and I believe plus a further 2 new destinations added to their portfolio as well.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
very exciting times for them.
That type of idea feeds into the social media thing that's on all the time. Everybody is wanting
really
to
does.
influence, everyone's wanting that
Yeah.
Instagram picture, and they've really, I think, tapped into that well with what they're offering there, because one for the gram. How many times do we say it and laugh? But that is what people do.
So true, though.
People
So
want to
true.
show it.
So true.
Right, let's take a listen to the team over at Ohana Mua. Today's episode is all about challenging what the UK holiday park experience could look like, and hearing from the team behind one of the boldest names in the space, Ohana Mua. With a mission to become energy positive, people first and purpose led from day one, Ohana Mua is already breaking away from the traditional playbook, rejecting dynamic pricing, embedding sustainability into infrastructure, and designing holidays around belongings, not just bookings. The leadership behind it combines entrepreneurial vision, operational depth, and guest-first creativity, bringing together experiences from energy, infrastructure, hospitality, and purpose-driven brands to create something entirely new. From large-scale solar and battery systems powering the park to sustainable suppliers, wellness-led stays, and an ambitious path towards B Corp certification. Every detail is being built with intention. At its core, this is a story about what happens when commercial ambition meets deep-rooted values, and how a bold new holiday park brand is quietly setting a new standard for the UK travel industry. The guys at Ohana Mua are here with us, Carl, Gemma, and Paul. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are we doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having us.
Good, thank you.
Very excited to hear this story, because you guys are doing something completely different from what's happening out there in the industry. I'm looking forward to finding out exactly how that is going for you guys. So, Paul, let's start with you. This isn't like a rebrand or a reinvention. Ohana Mua is something completely new. You've built it from scratch, which is really unusual. What made you step into the industry and do things so differently?
Yeah, good question. I get asked a lot as well, obviously. So my background's not from the sector. It's largely management consulting, actually, working with and advising kind of the largest energy and water utilities in the UK. So it was looking across their full kind of asset management plans and looking how they could challenge things, innovate, increase efficiency, increase performance. And I found that really rewarding. I think over a long period of time, what you do tend to find, though, is that ultimately the end user largely just wants the service. Yeah, so when they flick the switch, they want to see the lights come on. When they turn the tap, they want to see the water come through. And if that happens consistently, they feel happy. So they are interested in these other things like sustainability and innovation, but actually it's not the core, kind of requirement for them. So, when I left that sector, it was really about how do I make this feel more like human, like that connection that you actually want to see a direct outcome to the work that you're doing. And for me, it just took me back to childhood, so kind of those kind of UK staycations, my time away with the family, things that you could remember so vividly now, that actually goes to show what an impact it has on kind of individuals and families. So I think for me, it was just a case of, can I take the skills that I've done from these other sectors with a brand new blank slate, which is exciting in its own right, and really do something that's going to create meaningful memories for people. So I think that for me, that was the spark.
And Gemma, when you first joined and you've sort of seen the vision that Paul was building, what really stood out to you? Did it feel like a natural fit with your own approach to purpose-led work?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I was at a stage sort of where I was looking to work in a smaller business, ideally a startup. And when I connected with Paul, I think one of the first things that stood out is when he explained why he chose our name. Mm-hmm. So Ohana Mua means family first, and Paul made that really clear that this isn't just a name. you know, this is a principle and this is how I want to build the business. So whether you are staying with us, whether you work for us, or whether you partner with us, you feel part of our Ohana. And I think that was the first thing that resonated with me. But beyond that, it was really clear that this business had a values-led vision that wasn't just about let's go and create great holiday destinations and great accommodation. It was, how are we going to do things differently and how are we going to do things better? So whether that is our energy positive ethos, our inclusive design, or our honest pricing, I think everything kind of lathered up to what I believe a brand should stand for and how it should behave. So it was just an amazing opportunity that came up at just the right time for me.
Absolutely love it. And Cara, I think from your perspective, what were those early days like, standing on the site at the Vale, knowing it hadn't been operational for years and you were going to try and turn it into something energy positive? And I don't think many people realize that the Vale was not in use at all. So you've literally started from absolute scratch on this. How was that?
Yeah, so honestly, it was a mix of excitement but calm as well. So it's quite difficult not to be calm when you sit at the Vale. But as you mentioned, not being operational for a couple of years. But it was a holiday park in previous ownership as well, a number of years ago. So alongside the excitement and calm, there's also that real sense of responsibility as well to kind of protect what was already good. Kind of stood there in this kind of incredible setting. You've got the nature, you've got the sounds that nature brings as well. You kind of look, because it's quite a narrow site, so you kind of look up the line and you can just see the potential that the site can bring as well. But equally, there's also kind of that thought process where you go, you know, we want to do this the right way. We want to bring in those sustainability, you know, the values at its core. And that's quite a serious undertaking. It was energizing, and there's no pun intended there, you know, kind of around the energy positiveness, but it just felt the right fit. Similar to Paul, I've come from a consultancy background, so I naturally look at things like systems and kind of break things down into little chunks. So the first kind of thoughts was around, well, how do we push some boundaries here? You know, how do we kind of support the kind of guest experience that we want to deliver, you know, as Ohana Mua? But kind of reflecting on the energy positive thing, for me, it's more of a byproduct of what we do. You know, it's the benefit of demonstrating, I suppose, that we've delivered the values that we set out to deliver. And that's not just around sustainability, that's around all our other values as well. So the real focus and thought process was around how do we kind of embed those values and that sustainability angle into each layer of what we do with the ultimate purpose, which is why we're all here to deliver the best guest experience that we can.
Absolutely. And just talking about being energy positive, obviously you guys go much further than it just being, we're trying to get, it's literally get embedded in the entirety of what you're trying to do. What does that actually look like behind the scenes? You know, your solar, the battery systems, like the way the whole thing is engineered. What's that starting to shape up to look like for you guys?
Yeah, so there's a lot happening behind the scenes to make it real, as you can imagine. So at the Vale, we've already kind of built an infrastructure on the existing units that integrates large scale solar. I think we've got 124 panels there at the minute, with quite some advanced battery storage as well, which helps to kind of grid balance and things as well. And we've actually already, as of today, generated over 6 megawatt hours of energy. Now, to put that into some sort of context, that's the equivalent of running 2 houses for a year, for example. Or if you're an electric car driver, 24,000 miles in a typical Tesla as well, which I think is just incredible given that we've only just started. And it's quite difficult to stay off the app as well and just see what the solar panels are doing and how much you're generating. And it's been really good to see. But it goes much further than that. You know, it's in that smaller details as well. The equipment, the appliances that we've procured into our future lodge design. So, we've got existing stock and there's only so much you can do, but actually new stock, blank canvas, things like heat recovery systems, and we've been able to design that from the start. But it also gives us kind of that resilience as well. It allows us to future-proof the long term for us. But it's not just about the tech or the infrastructure as well. It's how we design the operations, the behaviours, how we select our suppliers, how we monitor performance on that as well, and how we maintain a lot of systems as well to deliver that really seamless guest experience.
That's it. And Paul, for that infrastructure first mindset, was that always central to the idea, or did that sort of pick up as you were starting to move the project along?
It was front and center from the beginning, and that's, again, kind of going back to my background there, we were dealing with assets that had a useful operational life of 100 plus years. So you were kind of like, you were custodians of these assets, not just when you were designing them, putting them in, but you had to maintain them lovingly over a long period of time to extend that life and get the actual payback from what you've invested in that asset. And we worked with companies that were really good at that, worked with companies that were not so good at that, and everything in between. But really what you realise is the decisions that you make now, actually you pay for them multiple times over, both in terms of either benefit or cost in the operational life cycle. So it's absolutely about having that long-term mindset, investing first, investing in a way that's not going to disrupt your operations in future, but actually opens up as many opportunities for you to be able to develop the sites and maximize the benefits in future years. So we put everything that's core in from day one, but we also kind of design for that flexibility so that we've got the opportunity to enhance as we go.
And Gemma, how have those decisions sort of affected the experience, how it's going to feel for a guest when they're walking on to the park?
I guess it's a bit like an invisible experience or an invisible comfort, because as a guest you're not going to sit back and admire the solar panels or want to go and have a look at our battery systems or infrared heating units, but you'll feel the difference, whether that's in the air quality, the temperature balance, and the quiet efficiency of the site, which has been really intentional. And I think, as sort of Carl alluded to, we've built everything in harmony to work behind the scenes so that the guests can just sit back and relax and feel that everything has been well thought through. And I think more than anything, what we want guests to feel is that they're staying in a space that is great for the planet, but also really great for them too.
Love that. So I guess from your side as well, then, what were some of those early choices that you've made to make sure that guests they're not just getting a nice lodge, but they're actually getting something that reflected that deeper purpose that you've been talking about?
Yeah, I think, again, Carl mentioned when we took on the Vale, it had been closed for a couple of years, and it was tired, it was dated, it was inefficient, but the team saw so much opportunity to restore it with care and purpose, and that kind of drove a lot of the decisions that were made around the improvements and the renovations. And I think probably a great way to explain how this is kind of come to life now is just some of the feedback that we've had from guests that used to stay at the site a number of years ago that have either booked to stay with us, or we've had quite a few that have just rocked up to have a nosy. So I showed a husband and wife couple around a couple of weeks ago, and they were just amazed by the improvements that we'd made to the destination overall. But in particular, when I was showing them around one of the lodges, they couldn't believe how light and airy it felt and how open it felt compared to sort of the old lodges at the site. And they also noticed one of what I think is one of the nicest guest experience pieces we've done, certainly on our lodges. They sit alongside the stream that runs through the site, but prior to us renovating the site, you couldn't get to it. So we've added rear decks or side decks so that you can sit out, you can see the stream, you can hear the stream, like you absolutely don't need white noise when you're staying at the Vale, because it's right there on your doorstep, and such a great space just to relax or even drift off to sleep. And that was one of the things that husband and wife were completely amazed about, and could see how that had improved the experience hugely. Quite early on, and I say early on, I'm the last exec member to join the team, so I can't take credit for all of this, but the team made a really intentional decision early on around wellness and sustainability. So of the 9 units that we've got on site, just 3 of those, our 3 cottages, have hot tubs. And we made the decision to install outdoor copper baths and outdoor showers in our lodges. They're incredible, honestly, they're incredible. And, not only do they use significantly less water, but there's so many benefits around hot and cold water therapy that support circulation and recovery. And we're engaging our guests with those benefits when they stay with us and encouraging them to try it out. And I will say firsthand that it's an amazing, calming alternative to a hot tub that is just as, if not more, indulgent.
I feel like I just need to go on holiday now.
You do, get booking.
That sounds really, really nice, actually. And Carol, from your side, how does that show up from an operational point of view? I imagine it's not just about like obviously tech and bits running in the background. How it's about creating consistency behind those guest-facing moments too.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you can have the best tech, you can have the best systems, but actually, if it doesn't translate into that kind of seamless, welcoming experience, then we've kind of missed the point, right? So for us, operational excellence, it means kind of taking that same sense of intention. So, whether that's sustainability, comfort again, or even the community spirit as well. It's making sure that it's all baked into each touch point. And that goes back to how we train the team, how we design the check-in process, the in-lodge experience, how we handle feedback. And we spent a lot of time with the kind of retreat management teams as well on site, challenging ourselves on what aligns with our purpose and what we're actually trying to achieve. And it's been great to see that the whole team feel part of that process, and actually then the guests see that as well. So yeah, similar to Gemma, I've had the pleasure of returning guests turn up, and just that wow factor on the face is really nice to see. Actually, it kind of gives you that buzz. It's about building trust. It's building trust through the consistency, trust through the attention to detail, and that's where we believe that a good stay, can turn into a memorable one as well. And we want tech to be an enabler. Gemma's mentioned it a couple of times, but I'll say it again. We want it to be invisible in the background, so it's there, kind of ticking over, and it's making the guest feel good, but it's not in your face. So that's kind of where we want to be in that space. Also, kind of allowing that to provide a bit more of a personalized experience as well.
Love it. Now, one of the boldest moves I think you've made, Paul, and I'm really looking forward to hearing how this is working, because I previously was a holiday sales and revenue manager. So when I seen this, and I'm sure you get it all the time, everyone's like, how is that even happening? Your pricing strategy, you're no dynamic pricing. It's just fair, transparent rates, regardless of demand. Totally unheard of, I think. And I don't think I've known anyone that does it that way. First of all, what inspired that decision, and how are you guys making that work commercially?
This was one thing that I felt really passionate about, before I started Ohana. And I'm a family man. I kind of got 4 kids, and we've all been through that pain. Kind of booking holidays. Not just in summer, but any school holiday that's going, and feeling that absolute penalty of taking your kids away on holiday with you in the UK. I don't around completely get the business reasons, the operational reasons for needing dynamic pricing, both in peak times but also in off peak as well. So it's not a criticism of that, but I think for me, what I realised, that it was something that I accepted because I had no alternative. But actually, I didn't like it. Actually, it made me quite annoyed, because these increases can be 2, 3, 4-fold, like on the price of a holiday. So I think for me, what I wanted to really kind of commit to our guests and our community is that there is no silver bullet for this right now. There's a reason why the sector does it the way that it's doing, but we're absolutely committing to fixing that over the period of time that we're going to be kind of operating and running. So we do that by taking the pain first. So if you come and stay with Ohana in summer, you will be paying less than what you'd be paying, for an equivalent quality, equivalent standard elsewhere. But likewise, if you were to stay with us off peak, we're going to be slightly more expensive as well. So it does have to kind of work both ways. There's no silver bullet to it. But what we want to do is over time is really build that trust through transparent and fair pricing, so that people can plan their holidays, can plan their budgets around the fact that you can come to Ohana, what the pricing is going to be from one month to the next. And really kind of build that long-term relationship where they trust us, we trust them, and we actually reward our communities, stronger than anybody else. So that's the vision and the hope. I know it's going to be difficult, and I know we're going to suffer some pain from it, but I think that's where it's our job to suffer the pain. It's not the customer's job to suffer the pain, so that's what we're committing to do.
I mean, because to be fair, I've seen it myself where customers phoned up and the price that they got quoted on day one, say it was a Monday, they were quoted this. Tuesday morning when they've called back to make it, actually that price is increased due to demand, or we were looking at pricing all day, every day, and squeezing the last amount of it to get the best out for the business, but you're going for the customer. And I think everything that you've said up to this point is very, very much focused on making sure that it's the customer experience, it's the family experience. I think it was crazy with the pricing strategy when I first seen it. I couldn't wrap my head around it, but I think now understanding more about the business and actually what you guys are trying to achieve, it fits perfectly with everything else along the way. So I'll be excited to see how that goes on the long term, because you never know, this might be the thing that actually shifts the whole industry, because I don't think anyone will have been brave enough to go out there and go, do you know what, we are going to make the prices not dynamic.
Okay.
So in the background, we've also got the B Corp journey happening along there. Gemma, why does that matter so much to you, to the brand? What's it like building toward that standard as well?
I've been through the B Corp certification journey before, and I know just how challenging it is. I mean, you are literally digging into every aspect of your business, from your governance to your supply chain, to how you treat your teams, to how you engage with local communities. And I think we all believe that any business that is B Corp certified or striving to be B Corp certified is really aiming for like the gold standard in sustainability and accountability. And that's why it just means so much to us at Ohana Mua. It's not like a badge that we're chasing, or a tick box. It's a mindset that we're building our business with. So, all of our processes, all of our systems, all of our touch points, and any decisions that we're making are being driven by that sort of B Corp mindset. What's been really great initially is we've as an exec, we've ran through a first run of the B Impact assessment, and it is so great to see how it naturally fits with how we're already thinking and operating as a business. So I would say watch this space for our B Corp journey.
Look forward to that. Paul, was that kind of accountability part of your thinking from the start, or is that something that came from assembling the right team around you as B Corp, the way you were always focused?
I think it's a bit of both, really, Calum, and it's always good that it's that way, really, because it's good to have a vision, but you also need to have a team that's so passionate and energized to deliver it. So again, kind of go back to my experience of other kind of sectors around sustainability, where it's really heavily regulated, really heavily scrutinized. I saw a lot of different approaches to that. People that are genuinely committed and genuinely trying to change kind of the environmental impact for the better, and others that were kind of almost paying lip service but wanting to tick the box sort of thing, and everything in between. I think for when I started Ohana, I saw an absolute perfect alignment for sustainability, for energy generation, and for this energy positive journey. It fits really well with the model, the asset base, and everything like that. But I didn't want it to be a baseless claim. By saying energy positive, it was something that you could measure, you could evidence. Eventually we'll be able to have that as a ticking clock, I guess, on the website. But it's something that it makes it real, and it's not a buzzword, and it's something that you can really get behind. I was recruiting for the team. Obviously, we brought all the chief roles in on day one. It was that kind of passion and clarity that kind of brought us all together. But it was the very first meeting. The board was, what we're doing about B Corp, are we going to do this? Are we going to, and we committed very early on that it was going to help us drive how we were growing the business. This was 1 month in. We're only a few months in now, to be fair, but we've already kind of built our business and our operational procedures and governance around what the B Corp standards are. So we've built it from the ground up rather than retrofitting. And I think that's such an important thing, because it feels just completely natural to us. It doesn't feel like we've changed or we've done something different to satisfy that requirement. We've built it by design, which is the general approach for everything that we do. I think having everybody around the team and being as driven, if not more so than me, around that sort of thing is great, and it pushes all in the same direction.
I love it. So let's go zoom out a little bit. So you guys have developed the part with the ultimate goal of becoming energy positive. You've rejected dynamic pricing, and you're embedding sustainability into the very bones of the business, all before welcoming your first guest, and which is a huge amount for you guys to take on. What's kept you grounded through it all?
For me, it was we've had a lot of challenges, Calum. We've done so much within a short period of time. It's been a huge undertaking. Really, a whole part to an incredibly new standard. Also bring all the market and buzz and get people back to book and all that kind of stuff, as well as kind of the plans beyond this first phase of the Veil. That's a huge challenge for a new team when you're just building something together. So it generally goes back to the kind of the values and the mission, and that's the thing that has brought us all together with that passion about it. I think if you weren't, there's times when already you could have walked away from it, or actually change the whole, like there's been definite challenges of, should we do this because other people do this? And you forget that actually we're doing things differently, and it's hard to do things differently, and you've got to feel the pain to be able to go through that and come out the other side. So I think for me, what grounds me is seeing the exec team and our teams on on the ground sort of thing, day in, day out, fighting to make the vision and the mission work.
I'd probably follow on from that just by saying, I think as an entire team, I think we're all very committed to that vision, and regardless of where, I don't know, what is happening or what conversations are being had, or we always revert back to that, what is it we're here to achieve, what do we want to stand for. So I think that keeps everybody quite grounded in a way. And then just for me personally, as I said, I was the last exec member to join this team. They were already doing such an amazing job, and I just have faith in their plan, and I'm supporting delivering that.
Just similar to the conversations we're having with you now, Calum. So obviously we're seeing quite a lot on socials, around some of the stuff we're doing, and people are already like, asking questions and following our posts because they want to know what we're doing, because they want to know it's a bit different. So I think for me, that kind of just helps as well. It feels like we're doing the right thing.
What did you think surprised you the most, Carl, obviously coming into hospitality after working in sort of infrastructure and defence? What's felt different?
So there's a lot of similarities and a lot of differences. So I actually started life as a baby, but after that in F&B. So so you could say that I kind of grew up in some of that kind of customer facing stuff as well, and it's really nice to be back into kind of that space as well. But I've spent a lot of time on location, and there's already a real feeling of kind of homeliness and calm and a buzz as well, which is really nice about the place. And it's been really nice to kind of interact with the guests and validate what's important to them. I suppose when we talk about what's different, things are changing, things are shifting, perceptions are shifting, people are becoming more aware of their environmental footprint, and how they're traveling, where they're traveling, what times of the year are they traveling. The feedback already has been fantastic. And then in the more recent stuff, in the infrastructure and consultancy side, I've been often focused in kind of large scale delivery. So that's still a large part of what we're doing. As you see, we've got quite big expansion plans and things. But hospitality kind of brings that added layer, or that emotional impact layer. Everything we do shapes someone's experience, someone's memory, or we could potentially ruin someone's holiday. So that's a really powerful motivator to get things right. And then the final bit is just how much kind of operational discipline and guest-centric design have in common. So from some of the previous stuff that I've been doing, every single bit of it's around kind of anticipating that need, removing that friction, and building something that just works. So that's been really fascinating to kind of join the dots there. Then just reflecting on kind of what drew me to Ohana Mua, it was around that challenge, challenging the norms of the industry. So I want to prove that we can kind of lead with purpose, but still build something commercially strong. So the dynamic pricing is obviously one element of that. We've got a key focus there on doing the right thing, but also making it affordable to guests as well.
And Gemma, you've obviously worked in the purpose-led travel before, but as we've said, Ohana Mua is a complete blank canvas. What's excited you most about shaping a brand from the ground up?
The freedom that you get in a startup and a smaller business, and the appetite to try new things and push boundaries, but also the responsibility that comes with that. What we have got is a unique opportunity to build something from the ground up that reflects our values in every single detail, and you don't very often get the opportunity to do that. You get lots of businesses that go on a journey to uncover their purpose once they've been trading for a number of years. We've got the opportunity to get it right from the start, whether that is our tone of voice in our marketing, how we deliver guest experience, and the partnerships that we're building. So it actually feels like we're creating much more than a brand. It feels more like a movement around what sustainable travel can really look like. We've kind of alluded to how we all work together, but we are constantly pushing boundaries. If you could see our exec WhatsApp chat, it is crackers. We're sharing new ideas, new initiatives to drive our business forward every day, and it almost feels like no idea is a bad idea right now for us, and look at everything as though it's an opportunity to be better.
That's certainly an environment you want to work in as well, isn't it? Where nothing's off the table. Let's have a look at it. Let's have a chat about it and see how we can move it forward. Now, Obviously, we are lucky that as League Dynamics, that you guys are actually one of our customers. So, Carl, I am going to ask you a little bit about the tech that you have. So, how does Elite Parks sort of fit in with your strategy and long-term vision for Ohana Mua?
So, Elite Parks is a big part of how we, make sure the kind of tech stack or the technology supports, the guest experience without getting in the way, without using the word invisible again. It's kind of just that engine in the background, working quietly, powerfully, to keep everything running smoothly. But there's a lot of moving parts, behind the scenes that we need to connect, from bookings, payments, housekeeping schedules, maintenance, even how people get through our ANPR barrier, to get onto the site, to how we manage inventory in the shop. Elite Parks gives us that. It's a centralized platform to bring all that together, but also allows us to build on that in the future as well, given, the platform it's built on. And that frees up the team. So we're trying to run with a very slick team on park as well, but it still allows them to kind of focus then on the stuff that matters, that seamless, memorable stay for the guests. And then I suppose looking at the longer term vision really supports scaling. It's no secret that we're not just looking at the Vale, which is what we talked a lot about today. We are looking at multiple parks, and we want to drive that consistency and the data as well, to be able to continuously improve. It's a big part of our operational processes and system across multiple touch points.
So then finally, we'll start looking ahead. Paul, phase 2 has been mentioned a few times there throughout. Without giving too much away, or you can tell me everything. I'm not bothered. What's next for you guys then?
It's probably the short answer is that we've just begun, like on our journey. So, we've achieved a lot already, but we're working to a very long 10-year plan. So the moves that we make now, might seem quite ambitious, for a company of our kind of size or age, but we've been built that way. The moves that we make next, you'll see how it all kind of fits together to the master plan of what we're looking to build. We've opened the first phase at the Vale, now moving to expanding the site, bringing in new and exciting, very different types of accommodation there. So really blended kind of that experience with nature, making it more achievable. So that'll be kind of, increasing the amount of kind of price points for guests as well, so they've got more options there. And for a very limited amount of kind of people as well, there'll be the opportunity there to kind of become an owner at the Vales. Look out for those kind of things that are starting to kick off now. I think beyond that, Carl's already mentioned, but it's no secret that we're looking for other destinations in the UK. I won't just say looking, we're quite active. The vision is that we'll have like a destination for that's in kind of easy travelling distance to everybody in the UK over that kind of 10-year plan. So we're active. We're looking for some things there, and I think probably the next kind of 6 to 12 months, you'll see us with multiple destinations across the UK. And then, one final bit of alpha, I guess, that nobody else does know yet, so you could use this, is
we're actually, come on.
an exclusive. We are launching our crowdfunding raise as well on Crowdcube in the not too distant future. So for everybody that does want to literally kind of invest in the future of staycations, keep an eye out, and that's your chance to really join the Ohana.
Fantastic. And one final question for all of you. We'll do it in 2 parts, I guess. So when a guest is leaving the Vale as it is at the minute, standing alone, what do you hope they're taking with them? What do you want their experience to mean? Gemma, do you want to take it first?
Yeah, I think for all of us, we've talked a lot about Ohana Mua meaning family first. We want everyone to feel like they truly belonged, that they were part of something inclusive, special, but it was also kind to the planet. And we want everyone to feel relaxed, not that they've just had a great holiday or a great break, but that they truly felt like they were at home. And the other aspect is around hoping that people might have a slight shift in perspective as well. It isn't just your big brands that can deliver on sustainability and great experiences. I hope people can see that we're showing that as a startup, we can build a business based on really strong values, a clear purpose, and create something really personal, thoughtfully designed, and full of heart as well. And I think that's the magic of Ohana Mua.
Gemma's covered it really well, but we talk a lot internally around people finding their own adventure, and what we appreciate internally is that adventure comes in many forms. Some of that adventure is just chilling out and doing nothing, and some of it's actually going out and exploring, the Vale's got to offer, for example. For me, it's about helping people feel connected, so to the place, the people, to themselves. And what does good look like for me? So if someone leaves the Vale feeling like they've truly switched off and recharged, that's a win for me. We've done the right thing. But I just want to be clear for us, it's not about ticking those boxes on comfort and service. It's about creating an experience that stays with them after they've gone, so they want to come back time and time again.
For me, really, from a real honest kind of perspective, is I want our guests to kind of feel like they've found a business that understands them, do you know what I mean, and what they need, and that they understand the story and the journey that we're going on and the reasons why we're doing that, and that they realise that hopefully they've had a great time, a great experience, but they can actually see the direction of travel and where we're going, and they want to be part of that journey with us.
Fantastic. And I guess to finish off our conversation today, if anyone does want to find Ohana Mua and have that experience with you guys, what's the best way for them to find you?
You can find us online at ohanamua.co.uk. Find us on Facebook, Instagram. We have just recently launched TikTok. So any of those channels, there's somebody to chat.
Carl, Gemma, Paul, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And we will look forward to seeing the journey for you guys and the brand. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Waking up one day and swapping your Mac, Gmail and Google Drive for Outlook, Teams and a Windows laptop. That's exactly what our marketing director, Lisa Allan-Downie, has done since joining Elite Dynamics. We're diving into her journey from Apple and Google to the world of Microsoft and finding out what it's really like to make that switch. Lisa, before joining Elite Dynamics, what did your typical work setup look like? What was in your stack?
Apple everywhere. I had more apples than a greengrocer's. So I had a MacBook Pro, which I used for simple design stuff and doing all my general work. An iPhone, iPad. So I've also got an Apple Watch. And I had my own business, so I used Google Drives for each of my clients, and that's where we saved everything, was on my LADM Google Drive. So yeah, there wasn't a Microsoft or Windows-based solution anywhere to be seen.
And then you arrive here, and it's boom, Outlook, Teams, SharePoint. So
You might
what were
remember
those? Yeah.
The first meeting that I had the day that I got my new
I
laptop.
wasn't going to say it, but
Like, how do I get online? How do I open up my emails? How do I do a snipping thing? It was basically going back to school, like day one. I didn't know how to do anything. I mean, I'd used Apple for so long. I knew all the shortcuts and all that for Apple, and then everything is completely different on a Windows-based machine. So yeah, I knew nothing. So it was very scary.
Was there a moment, Lisa, where things finally clicked and you thought, okay, I get Microsoft now?
Yeah. So, as you know, I worked with the team as a consultant previously before joining as marketing director. And one of the things I needed to do was have a better view of the team's work output, what everybody was working on and what status everything was. And obviously, not being aware of all the tools that were available out there, I had a spreadsheet to do that. So obviously we also had to share, I wanted to share the team's output with you, Andrew, with Jermaine, with the others in the leadership team, and our worksheet, an Excel sheet wasn't really cutting it. So I went to trusty Copilot and I said, come on, there must be a better solution to this. So in the past, I had used Trello.com and Asana for, Calum obviously used that with my team. We used that to do all our work management. So we set up work boards and I always knew what everybody's status was. So Copilot said that there actually was a tool that was already within the Microsoft suite, and that's Planner. Sent an email to the team and said, right, from now on, we're ditching the Excel sheets for our planning. We're now going to start using Planner and Loop. Some members of the team, I'll mention no names, has Loop for everything. So between the two of them, between the two of those tools, we're able to monitor what the team's doing, all the status. We can shut a job when it's closed. We can share it with the rest of the business. And it means that everything that we're working on is in one central place and we can all access it whenever we need. So that was when I thought, oh, right, okay, there's more to this.
Clicked into place.
More to this Microsoft lark than meets the eye.
So now that you've got that foot in, what do you actually enjoy about the Microsoft ecosystem?
I think the fact that, so we'll be on a meeting and we'll probably transcribe that. And then from that transcription, it goes straight into Loop. I can then ask Copilot to give me an action list. That goes, that's done straight into Loop. And from that then pulls into our team planner. So then I've got timelines on everything. So I know when everything is required, when it's required by and what status it is. So just by having that one meeting, normally you would sit and you would write your notes and you would type it up and then you would do an action list, but actually Microsoft can do all of that all together. We can transcribe it, summarise it, do a task list and put that task list into a planner tool. So all of those activities would normally take you probably about half a day to do it, but actually it will only take you an hour to get it all done. So yeah, it's kind of pretty much game changing.
We don't use that word, yeah.
I know. I did that.
So to wrap things up, Lisa, we've got a reflective round for you. Just some short fire questions, just to answer them in a sentence, just whatever comes into your head initially, no swearing, but whatever comes into your head, say how you feel. So we've got, I've shared the list, so Andrew, you're up first. Go.
Okay, here we go. What was the hardest part of leaving Apple Google behind?
Just not knowing things. I like to know what I'm doing, and I felt like I was back to school. I just didn't know how to do it, and it made me frustrated.
What surprised you most about Microsoft tools?
That there's so much available. So one of the other great things that we use it for is who you're in contact with during the day, during the week, which meetings are taking the longest. So there's more visibility on everything. And actually there's the tools that are out there are like, there's so much to discover and to look into that. Yeah, so it's great.
Which Microsoft app or features do you use the most? Do you rely on the most now?
Probably Copilot. I use Copilot the most because I use it to do some of my content. I've written my tone of voice, so it's kind of like a tone of voice document that I told Copilot that this is how I want to write in. And I save that into SharePoint so that when I'm writing content or an email or something like that, then I'll make sure that Copilot is using the words that I would use rather than the words that a standard AI would use. And as I say, it also summarises meetings that I've been into. It allows me at a glance to be able to summarise stuff. So that's what I would use the most.
Yeah.
So what's one thing you can do faster now than you could do before?
Probably the planning stuff. So I would have to physically write out plans. So being able to just do it once and it translates into across different tools, whether it's email, whether it's planner, whether it's a project plan. I can do it all just with like one or two actions instead of repeating the same thing over and over again. So it saves me so much time.
And then one tip you'd give anyone making the same switch. So anyone in your shoes.
Don't be scared of change. There probably will be a Microsoft solution there available, whether you know about it or not. It's something different, but I would have a look at what is it you need to do, and can Microsoft make it easier for you to do that? And don't be afraid to change and do something new.
I suppose that flows into the last one, is if one of our listeners are thinking about making a switch, what's one reason they should be excited?
Yeah, just that that access and the visibility and the time saved. So we, as all four of us, have got lots of different jobs. We're working on different projects all the time. So being able to access where jobs are in terms of status, looking for ways that we can cut down manual processes, that stuff is all available with the tools that we've got within Microsoft. So they're all really big wins for me.
Well, if you want to make the switch from Google and Apple all the way over to Microsoft, why not take the Elite Dynamics health check, and you can find out exactly what tools you could be making more of. That is all we've got time for today on From Pitch to Pontoon. We hope to see you again in the future. From myself, Lisa, Andrew, and Lisa, we will see you all again in the future. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.